Dick Whittington and His Cat is a folk tale about a poor boy who goes to London to make his fortune, but finds hardship instead. He is taken in by a merchant, buys a cat to deal with rats in his attic room, and then sends his cat on a ship to the king's palace, where it proves to be a hero by driving away rats, earning Dick immense wealth, and eventually leading to him becoming the Lord Mayor of London 3 times. The story of Poor Boy's Dream. Dick Whittington was a young poor boy without a family. He lived in a small village, but heard amazing stories about a great city called London. People said the streets of London were paved with gold. Dick dreamed of going there to become rich and successful. He imagined a city shining with golden roads where he could easily find his fortune. With this hopeful dream in his heart, he decided to leave his village and walk all the way to London. Hardship in London. When Dick finally arrived in the city, his heart sank. The streets were not paved with gold. They were dirty and crowded. He soon became very poor and hungry, with no place to sleep. Just when he was about to give up, a kind and wealthy merchant named Mr. Fitzwarren found him. Mr. Fitzwarren took pity on the boy and offered him a job and a place to live in his large house. Dick was very grateful for this chance. A rodent problem. Mr. Fitzwarren gave Dick a small room in the attic to sleep in. However, the room was not very comfortable. It was cold, dark, and full of rats and mice. Every night, the rodents would run all over his room, making it impossible for him to sleep peacefully. Dick was determined to solve this problem. He worked hard and saved every penny he earned until he had enough money to buy a cat. He found a wonderful cat who was an excellent hunter, and soon his attic was free of pests. The merchant ship. Mr. Fitzwarren was a merchant who owned ships that sailed to faraway lands to trade goods. One day, as one of his ships was preparing to set sail, he called all of his servants together. He offered them a special opportunity. Each person could send something of their own on the ship to be sold in a foreign land. Whatever money it made would be theirs to keep. The other servants all had valuable things to send, but poor Dick had nothing in the world except his beloved cat. With a heavy heart, he decided to send his only friend, hoping she might bring him some good luck. The cat's heroic deed. The ship sailed across the ocean and arrived at a strange kingdom. The ship's captain was invited to have dinner with the king and queen at their palace. But as soon as the food was brought to the table, hundreds of rats and mice swarmed out and ate everything. The king explained that his kingdom was overrun with these pests and no one knew what to do. The captain remembered Dick his cat and told the king he had a creature on his ship that could solve the problem. The king was very excited. The captain brought the cat to the palace, and she immediately began to chase and catch all the rats, clearing the palace of the pests in no time. A reward of riches. The king and queen were amazed and overjoyed. They had never seen an animal like a cat before. They declared that Dick's cat was more valuable than all the jewels in their kingdom. The king offered to buy the cat and her future kittens for a massive fortune. He filled 10 large chests with gold and precious gems and gave them to the captain to take back to London for the cat's owner. The captain happily loaded the treasure onto the ship and sailed back home with the good news for Dick. A rise to fortune. When the ship returned to London, the captain went straight to Mr. Fitzwarren's house and presented the incredible treasure to Dick. The young boy could not believe his eyes. He was now richer than he had ever dreamed. Mr. Fitzwarren was very impressed with Dick's honesty and good fortune. He saw that Dick was not just lucky, but also a clever and hard-working young man. He promoted Dick from a simple kitchen boy to his assistant, teaching him everything about the merchant business. As Dick grew older, he fell in love with Mr. Fitzwarren's kind daughter Alice, and they eventually got married. Dick became a very successful and wealthy merchant himself. Lord Mayor of London. Dick Whittington's success did not stop there. He used his great wealth to help the people of London, building hospitals and churches. The people loved and respected him for his kindness and generosity. His fame and good deeds led to him being elected as the Lord Mayor of London. He was so popular and did such a good job that he was chosen to be the Lord Mayor not just once, but 3 times. His journey from a poor orphan boy to one of the most powerful men in London became a famous and inspiring story. The legend versus history. The legend is based on the real-life Richard Whittington, c. 34 to 1423, who was a wealthy merchant and politician, not a poor boy who rose from nothing. The real Richard Whittington was born into a wealthy family and became a successful cloth merchant in London. He did not come to the city as a poor orphan, and there is no historical evidence that he ever owned a cat that made him rich. He was a very powerful and influential figure in his time. The story was a popular subject for pantomime in Britain and likely evolved over time to become the tale known today. The tale of the cat is a common element in folklore from many different countries and was probably added to the story of the real Richard Whittington to make it more exciting and memorable. This magical version of his life became especially famous through pantomimes, which are traditional British Christmas plays that often feature well-known fairy tales and legends. The real Whittington was a respected figure who made significant charitable investments in London, and his legacy is still visible today through various buildings and endowments. He used his immense wealth to fund public projects, such as rebuilding a church, creating a hospital ward for unmarried mothers, and building London's first public toilets. Although the story of his cat may be a legend, the real Richard Whittington's generosity and impact on the city of London were very real and continue to be remembered.